when you guys were filming season 1 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, like, did you have any idea what the narrative was going to be when you actually watched it back? Or were
No.
you shocked when you saw like what was on screen?
I would say like once we started filming like the 6th episode, I kind of like knew. I was like, okay, like I think I'm the bad guy. Just with like how people were treating me, I was like, oh, like I'm the bad guy.
What do you mean though?
Just like petty arguments that we'd get in, or just like people like not letting up in conversations that we'd have, which you have to understand, we're filming like, you're watching a scene that's like 2 minutes. It could have been like a 2-hour long scene, and then it's condensed into 2 minutes. So there's so much more context into that.
Was the show airing as you guys were filming? No. So you're saying this is happening within the dynamics, like
I'm just saying like while we
While
were
you're
filming,
filming.
like I could feel like, oh, like I'm clearly the bad guy here. But then when I watched the show, I think that people probably would have had a lot more sympathy if they were to see the conversations of apologies being had or accountability that was already taken. I probably wouldn't have been, painted as such like this villain, which is so funny now because I'll get comments where it's like, I don't even know like what Whitney did. And I was like, yeah, what I did do is I left a group chat. I didn't show up to an event. Oh, I like said the whole Too Mormon thing to Jen. It's just stupid, petty things. And like the hate that I got from it, it's so unwarranted. Like but it's reality TV. And they think that like I'm like just this character and not like an actual human being. And I think just people love to have an opinion. And I'm learning more and more as seasons go on that I'm just like a character.
And you're also a very like extroverted, like loving person. And I feel like you're like a funny person too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I feel like when I was watching it, I felt like a lot of stuff was misconstrued.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so hard too. Even you were saying like when you got to like, I guess filming episode 6, even you were like, ooh, like I think I'm losing control of my own narrative here.
Absolutely.
And that's really scary.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you started realizing that? And gosh, a woman's intuition is so real also.
Yes. Well, I already was going through it at the time. Like I just found out I was pregnant, and Connor and I were going through our issues, and not only going through it, we were sharing it to the world. And so we were constantly talking about it, and I was just in a bad headspace. So it was like processing being the bad guy. So then I was like a bit resentful, and my heart was hardened. And then also being pregnant, figuring out this stuff with my marriage, and it was a nightmare. It was very dark times.
Yeah, it's dark, and it's also you feel like anything that you do is like going to be perceived as wrong. Like you can't do anything right in that setting.
No, there was nothing. That's why I just like, I'm like, okay, like I guess I'll just like be unbothered by it then, because this is so incredibly out of my control.
Was there a point in the show in season 1 that like obviously a lot of it was traumatic to watch, of course, but was there any parts of it that you were like, oh, I'm actually really happy that that truth is there? You know what I mean? Like were there, because it's sometimes easy to focus on the bad, but what parts of it were you like, okay, I like the way I'm being shown here?
In season 1 specifically?
You're like, no.
I didn't like any of that. I didn't like season 1.
It's too hard. Yeah.
It was too hard, but like, there was some truth to that, to what I was watching. And I think what I've learned today, like genuinely, is I've always had this like mindset where people are thinking the way that I'm thinking and having the same perspective in a situation, but I'm like slowly learning how to put myself in their shoes and try and gain their perspective, because that's why I look so stubborn in season 1, because I was stubborn. Because I'm just like thinking that everybody should be thinking the way that I'm thinking of all of these stupid petty scenarios. So very humbling for sure. But I feel like, if anything, grateful for that.
I feel like when you're watching a reality show, the audience connects with different characters in different ways. And there's a lot of people that learned alongside you.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I hope so.
Who, when you were watching it back, was like your ride or die? When negative stuff happens, you see who are like your people, who showed up for you at your lowest.
Oh, like in Mom Talk?
Mm-hmm.
Connor.
Yeah.
My husband.
Yeah.
Like Connor's the type of guy where you could tell him literally anything and everything, and there'd be no shame. Absolutely no shame. And I needed that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want revenge. Like I'm just like so angry, and just like letting me like have those thoughts and like not like responding in a way where I'm not feeling shame. I definitely needed at the time, and he still is. He's still my ride or die.
in a way, it's kind of like you guys were going through a hard time in your relationship during season 1, and then you went through watching the show and like going through so much probably like mentally on your own, and
Yeah.
then I'm sure it just made your relationship so much stronger.
Oh, it did. And I think, you have to make that choice whether, first of all, marriage is so hard. And then bringing kids into it makes it even harder.
And then being the villain on a
and then being
reality show
yes,
makes
exactly.
it even harder.
Yeah. And then also sharing your story and then allowing it like all these opinions. And I'd love to say that I don't read those opinions, but I do. Like, yeah, it sucks. But something that I love that my therapist told me, like while we were going through that, is you just have to make the choice. Do you want to make it work or do you not? And there's no right or wrong answer. And I was so happy that somebody had even asked me that, because in Mormon culture, in the Mormon religion, it's like divorce is so looked down upon. Like, because when I did hear all of that whole scandal that was going on with him, I would just immediately was like, oh, well, like we'll figure it out. Like I didn't even have, that was just like the Mormon brain in me, where it's like I didn't even sit down and think like, oh, I actually do have a choice. I could leave if I wanted to. So it was refreshing, like hearing somebody sit down and be like, which I needed to hear, because I think if I were to just do it because it was expected of me, our relationship wouldn't be where it is today. I really need to sit down and be like, Kate, do I want to make this work, or is it time to leave?
I mean, I also grew up in like a family where it's like, yeah, like if something goes wrong in a marriage, like the first outlet is you make it work, or like you
Absolutely.
figure out the ways to like heal before even thinking about divorce.
Yeah. Sometimes divorce is probably maybe what that relationship needs. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have trials in your marriage. And then when you bring kids in the mix and how you're going to discipline them and how you want to raise them, like that's just expected. Those are things that are going to happen. And it's just, you have to communicate with your partner, make sure you're on the same page. And that's an everyday thing. You have to choose it every day.
What would you say you learned about social media from going through what you went through online and in the show?
Oh gosh. It's just noise. It's just noise. The good and the bad. Like you can't rely on that. You can't rely on that validation of people being like, oh my God, I love you so much. Or, oh my God, I hate you. You're the worst. Like it's just noise. Listen to the people who actually know you. That's where it counts.
Yeah. Here we go. Satellite radio, y'all get hit with the boom, boom.
What did your healing process look like after going through what you went through? Because it is a lot of trauma that you experienced.
Yeah. I feel like blocking out the noise. Because you can spiral. Because I was reading these comments and you start to believe it. And that's when it gets really unhealthy. So blocking out the noise and listening to the people around you who support you and love you and who want the best for you and who know your actual intentions. Yeah, I think just surrounding yourself with people who know you, that's what healed me, is because I was allowing these noises to make me think that this is who I was. But I'm like, but that's not who I am. So let me listen to the people who actually know who I am and want the best for me.
I mean, the only way out is through and is
Yeah.
figuring out those
Yeah.
things and learning those things. And it's hard going into season 2. How long did it take for you to want to be back around the other women?
I didn't want to. I wanted to dip out because I was so like resentful and angry about what happened season 1 and also the aftermath, like the women feeding into that narrative when they know what actually happened and just like bashing me online. Like it was just so unwarranted and not needed. It's like kicking me while I was down. And so I was just angry and resentful. And I was just like, I didn't want to go back. But Connor was, just sitting down and having conversations with him. Like, if you care about these relationships, conversations need to be had. And they're going to be hard conversations and it's going to suck. And it did.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I did.
Yeah, the only way out is through.
Unfortunately.
When you were watching season 2 back, were you excited to see the way you showed up in this next season?
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I am. I think that when I watch it, I do think I did lose a little bit of my voice. season 2. And I think it's because I had this fear of being the bad guy again. I didn't want to be the bad guy again. So I don't want that to happen anymore. I don't want that fear to control me. I want to be able to be myself and show up for myself. So it's like, yeah, we saw a softer side of Whitney, but I didn't feel like that's fully who Whitney was still. Like, it's because I had this like voice in the back of my head where it was like, no, you have to like be a good girl, because there's so many conversations where people were coming at me and I was just like, oh, I got to be the bigger person. But there's so many times where I would be like, fuck you.
Yeah. Of course.
So I'm hoping that I just want to show up for myself more for upcoming seasons and be able to not have that be a fear.